The lore of Neon Genesis Evangelion is pretty tough to wrap your head around. I think the 850,000 views on my video explaining it kinda prove that. There is a lot of lore in the series, and it's barely explained to the audience at all. Some of the comments on my video showed me that a lot of people really don't like that. They think that it's a messy and poorly told story. But I think that the lore of the series is intentionally vague and confusing. Digging through it is a fun side project if you're really curious like I was, but at least on a first watch, I don't think you're supposed to totally understand it. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. The very best pieces of sci-fi and fantasy aren't as great as they are just because of world building itself. The real meaning in stories like Star Wars or Dune or Lord of the Rings comes from the themes and characters. These are stories about imperialism, fascism, industrialization, redemption, brotherhood, faith, messiah narratives, coming of age. The fantasy elements work so well because they're used to develop meaningful ideas and explore interesting characters. Now that's not to say that world building isn't cool in its own right, because it absolutely is. I've read the Silmarillion. Okay, I've read like a third of the Silmarillion, but in truly excellent fiction, world building is mostly a means to an end, a tool to convey the themes and emotions that actually make up the heart of the story. But Evangelion handles things a little bit differently. Rather than using world building to develop characters and themes, it uses the lack of world building to achieve that effect. Snippets of the story are given every so often, but you're almost never given big exposition dumps. You, as the viewer, have to struggle to put together the bits you hear from the adult characters, like trying to build a Lego set with half the pieces missing and no instruction booklet. But I actually think that this works really well because of how it connects you to the characters, especially Shinji and Asuka, because they are in the exact same position as the viewer. Nobody is explaining anything to them, and even when adults do explain things, they're doing it with half-truths and missing details. It puts you in the shoes of the characters, which really helps you understand how they feel, and at the end of the day, Evangelion is about feelings. I've noticed that how people respond to this storytelling style can say a lot about them. Some people respond like Shinji, self-deprecating, I must be too stupid to understand it, while some people respond like Asuka, either combative, this show's so overrated, the plot makes no sense, or arrogant, I understood it just fine, you guys probably aren't even paying attention. But no matter how you react, that feeling of being lost can connect you more to the story, if you let it. Shinji is in over his head. He's drowning in responsibility, lost in a tangle of ancient alien beings, secretive government agencies, and untrustworthy adults. And because of how the story is delivered, you, the viewer, are lost in this web too. You're right there with him. And that's what Evangelion is about. It's about feeling lost, overwhelmed, broken, about believing you're not good enough, about feeling alone, about discovering why you even bother staying alive, and why you maybe don't always want to. And I think that this emotional journey is strengthened, not weakened, by the confusing mythos. Hideaki Anno and his team chose not to clarify many details in the series. Even after almost 10 hours researching for my lore video, there are still plenty of things that I can't fully explain. But I think that there's a unique beauty to that. Maybe that storytelling style isn't really for everyone, but I love it, and I hope that you do too.